Welcome to MSP North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. My name is Brady McAtamney. Blaine Keller here, my co-host. Blaine, how you doing today, man?
I think I could speak for a lot of our spring sports coaches here to say that they would love to get a practice in this afternoon. This weather is absolutely stunning.
It has been, just beautiful the last couple of days. You absolutely love to see it, but of course, probably just a tease, and we're going to be back real cold here. Probably at least get another snow in before these coaches can actually practice, maybe during their practices.
Absolutely. You talk about second summer during the fall season. You think you have a couple 70-degree days, and then it goes back up to 80 and humid or 90 and humid. This is almost like third summer or first spring, I guess, where you have a couple of 60-degree days in January, then you're back down to 20 before you know it.
Yep, absolutely. But of course, as always, fun show lined up for you guys today. A couple guests, as usual, our segments. And we're going to start off with our first guest here. Excited for this one. We have Trenton Hassel. He is a Clarksville High and Austin P alum. You can find his jersey hanging up in both of those gyms. Played several seasons in the NBA, now head coach for the girls basketball team at Clarksville Christian and Clarksville Soul, his AAU team. Trenton, did I get it all?
Yeah, you got it all.
How about a father and husband too? Of course, probably your most important roles there. But Trenton, how did you get into coaching?
I got into it right the year I retired. I had an ex-teammate at Austin P named Jerome Jackson. He was coaching at CA, and he wanted to start he was coaching girls at Clarksville Academy, and he came to me wanting to start a girls travel program to help some of his kids out. So I said, yeah. So I've been doing it ever since.
There you go. So right into coaching right after you retire then.
Yes, right into coaching. I know I go ahead.
I was just saying, is that kind of how your passion for girls basketball came? Because, ever since, it seems like you've been kind of coaching girls basketball. Of course, having your daughter coaching AAU girls. Is that kind of, or has that kind of always been there?
No, it ain't always been there, but I always loved girls basketball. I'm a Vols fan. My wife played basketball. And then when I was playing professionally, that's when the WNBA started up. So I used to go to a lot of Minnesota Lynx games during the summertime. And then I got to coaching girls. After the first tournament, I had second thoughts why I got into it. But I just enjoy helping young ladies, and they play a pure game of basketball, which I enjoy. And they listen.
Coach Hassel, Brady talked a little bit, and he wrote a great story this week for Main Street Clarksville about the program that you are building and the great things that Clarksville Christian is kind of doing with girls basketball right now. As someone who coaches the AAU circuit and at Clarksville Christian, what would you say the biggest difference is between those two?
The biggest difference is talent, maybe, because I think in the summertime, you got access to more talent. I mean, your team's a little better. Everybody can play. But I think the thing that's similar with both is you need parents and girls that are committed. And in travel ball, it's not a lot of commitment overall. It's kind of like the transfer portal. You never know who's going to be where, what team. It's more political. It's political on both stages, but it's more in the summertime because you deal with a lot of different stuff and kids and parents with different goals for their kids. So I think AAU is more cutthroat, if I had to say it. So you got to have more loyalty among your coaches, your players, and your parents in your program.
Yeah, we'd be remiss if we did talk about that game on last Friday night between CHS and CCS. Of course, that's your alma mater versus the team you're coaching now, where your daughter plays, where all those girls that you love coaching play. How cool was it just for your girls to be able to experience a game, obviously against Amari Berry, one of the top talents at her age, but also just such a packed gym? Because, I mean, that place was just absolutely jumping.
Yeah, it was a great experience for us to have a team the caliber of Clarksville High in with their history, and then probably one of the best guards, in my opinion, in the nation, not just the state, but in the nation. To have that for our school, which probably ain't never had that before. Even when we played Rossview last year and came away with the win, it wasn't like that. So I think it was a lot, and then we've been so close to each other right down the street. And then a lot of these girls play together. They came up together playing basketball, so it's kind of like the little sister playing the big sister. And we actually had that in the game because our point guard sister played for Clarksville High. So I think it was a little bit more meaning, and that's what made it so fun and exciting.
That's right.
Playing
Literally,
your alma mater, it's certainly a big deal, Coach. And I wanted to kind of ask, as a Dallas Mavericks fan, about one of maybe somebody you interacted a little bit with at Clarksville High as a student. Sean Marion was someone else who has his jersey up in the rafters at CHS. Do you have any stories about any time that you kind of spent with him, whether you guys were on the same team or just growing up in the same school system?
Not really. I mean, we competed against each other in practice because he was usually with the starters and I played with the guys that came off the bench. But, you know, he was just a character. He's funny. He keeps you laughing. He was like the joy, the fun of the crowd. So that's about it.
And in my opinion, one of the best all-time NBA nicknames, the Matrix. I mean,
oh yeah,
how cool is that? Especially for a guy who plays such.
Definitely. Yeah, they've been nicknames, and it fit him well too. So, you know, he earned it. It's one of the best nicknames out there that I know of.
I totally agree. Since we're talking about teammates of yours, I was curious, maybe a fun little thing. If you had to come up with a starting five, like an all-teammate starting five of guys that you have played with, what would that look like? And you can include
Kevin Garnett, the big ticket, Latrell Sprewell, Troy Hudson,
okay,
Charles Oakley, and probably Dirk Nowitzki. T. Hood.
You're not going to put yourself on that list, though? You got to put yourself on that list, right?
As a teammate?
you can coach the guys, or you can include yourself.
Yeah, I just want to coach them. I don't even want to play. I don't even need to play with that group. But Troy Hudson and Dirk Nowitzki, that would be my top.
Yeah, I feel like some of those guys might not require too much coaching, so it might be a bit of an easier job for you than high school girls.
Yes, it would. Yeah, I know, right? I can just sit there and get my popcorn and watch the show.
There you go. And a show would be indeed. I mean, Dirk and KG in the same front court. Come on now. That's easy buckets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Well, Trenton, man, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been awesome having a chance to talk with you the last couple of days here. And good luck, because I know playoffs are coming up soon for you guys.
Yes, it is. We just got to continue to get better and continue working. So I appreciate you supporting us and giving our team, the program, a shout out.
Absolutely,
Thank
man. You have a great rest of your day.
All right, y'all too.
As a Dallas Mavericks fan and somebody who watched the 2011 NBA Finals in a suburb of Dallas, I wasn't expecting to hear Dirk Nowitzki, much less Sean Marion, in today's conversation.
Here you go. How about two of them? Getting them
double
both a
dose.
little shout out. We're gonna take a quick break here. We're excited to have another guest coming up after this. I don't want to spoil it, so there's your cliffhanger. Stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try. There aren't any cops around. Didn't think there were any cops around. I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Run your name, sir. You are
right now? Welcome back to Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. We continue on with our Robertson County basketball coverage today, talking with East Robertson girls basketball coach Kenyatta Perry. Coach Perry, thank you for joining us today. How are we?
I appreciate you having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, overall, as a team, you guys are probably doing a little bit better than what you were at the start of the season. 5 straight wins and still undefeated in District 8 1A. I'm curious what you've kind of seen over this last stretch that your team has maybe done as opposed to the beginning of the season, just to start off here.
Well, we've kind of got a little bit more comfortable than we did at the beginning of the year. We had a couple new players playing different roles and different positions. So I knew it was going to take us a little bit of time to kind of gel a little bit, even though, we're bringing back so much firepower from last year's team. When you take out Peyton Lackey and Kylie Perry from the starting lineup and try to just plug in players to fill those positions, sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to understand the role that we're asking them to play and then them being able to fill that particular role. So I think we're starting to get there. We have some players that stepped in and started to play a little bit more minutes. And now, like I said, we're starting to play a little bit better offensively. And defensively, we're starting to understand assignments a little bit better. So it's showing on the court. The product is looking a whole lot better than it did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Coach, I think me personally, I was a little dumbfounded by how this season's team kind of started off. I believe it was 4-10, if I'm not mistaken, after a Big M Christmas Classic game against Macon County. And I would tell people around me, I'd say, with the talent and the firepower that you mentioned, it almost seems unlikely that a team would get off to such a kind of skittish start. But I did want to ask about that firepower a little bit. And Ida Bernard, Katie Pennington, Macy Phelps, 3 guards who have really powered your offense this season. But as you've said in our conversations, hasn't really clicked for all 3 of them in a game just yet. Overall, do they have kind of similar? Night. Yeah. Go ahead, Coach.
No, but go ahead, finish your question.
No, I was just going to ask, overall with what they've done offensively, what makes it hard for all 3 of those guards to kind of defend against? And do they have similar or different skill sets?
They all really have different skill sets and different mindsets of how they attack, play the game, especially offensively. Katie has kind of had to step up into more of a scoring role this year, but if you just watch her play, she tends to be more of a facilitator. She was trying to get people open, trying to pass. And then I had to, talk to her a little bit about, trying to create her own offense, being able to score.
Whereas Ida's looking for her shot constantly, and we expect Ida to shoot open shots because she can score that way and she can score quickly. And where Macy, being the point guard, handling the ball a little bit more, she tries to create her own offense sometimes. So it's just a matter of when should I create, when should make an extra pass. And sometimes when you got guards that are that skilled offensively, they have to give and take a little bit. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. Whereas last year, I had Macy and being a junior, and then Ida and Katie being freshmen. I think they deferred to her a little bit more. Now this year they're coming to their own a little bit, and they're able to do a little bit more. And so it's just like I said, try to just give and take a little bit. When can I, when should I look for my shot? When should I kind of be more aggressive? And when do I need to make that extra pass? And like I said, we're starting to get there. We still haven't played that game where all three of them are clicking, and it's really easy. But you can kind of see parts of it is okay. They kind of know how to play together, and now we just got to put it together on the floor.
Yeah, we talked a bit about that 5-game winning streak that you guys are on. But weirdly enough, you guys were on a 6-game losing streak before that. Not to bring up the bad memories, but you don't really see two such distinct streaks like that back to back. What's been the difference between these past 11 games?
Well, we've had some injuries with Kyla Groves going down. And so she started to play really, really well at that time. And so she was filling a role that we needed. And then when she went down, it kind of changed the mindset a little bit. And so now Ava Hester had to step in and play a little bit bigger role than she was playing at that time. And then Hester Wallace had to play a little bit more because Kyle was really doing a good job of facilitating in the middle as a post player. And she was one of our leading rebounders. So we had to fill that void there. With Aaliyah Hare coming in and scoring some, that took away some of that part of it, but we still had to have that defensive presence. And I think that's where Ava stepped in and is kind of taking over that role. So like I said, when you got players that haven't a lot of game experience, and you throw them into some of these games where you're playing Macon County, Ezel Harding, these teams that are really skilled and polished, you're going to have some nights where you just don't look well, but you're playing better. So it just took a little bit of time. So I think the last 5 games, we kind of turned the corner a little bit where we're able to, I guess, expect them to be able to fill roles and be able to come out and play well.
And, Coach, if I'm not mistaken, there are 4 regular season district games left in the year. Is that right?
I believe it's 5.
5. So whenever you look down the stretch of this season – and the possibility of maybe running the table in the regular season, I know there are still some foes that you guys look at that you need to play a little bit better against. Overall, there's a chance for East Robertson to win its first district title since 2011. Is that something that you guys have talked about at all this year?
Well, that was our goal last year, was to try to win the district and or get first place in the district regular season and win the district tournament. We just came up 1 game short last year. So our mindset and goals this year was the same thing, to kind of be able to win the district in the regular season, and like I said, hopefully get a chance to play in that championship game in the district again and actually win it this year. So we were 1 game short last year, and I think the expectation for this team was to get back to that point. And like I said, hopefully win that particular game to kind of help us kind of like to push forward through the regions, because the region is going to be really tough. That other side has some really good teams, so we want to try to get the best seed we can to have a better chance to kind of make some noise in the region.
East Robertson's district slate continues Friday, hosting STEM Prep Academy. Coach Perry, thank you so much for your time today and joining us.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you. Anytime.
Thanks, Coach. Brady, let's take one more break here, and when we come back, our One Thing, Player of the Week, and Game of the Week segments. Stay tuned.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back to Main Street Preps North. My name is Brady McNamee. That's Blaine Keller. It's time to head into our One Thing segment, as always. Blaine, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, the Division I state bowling tournament on the girls' side was held yesterday. I believe the boys' side was yesterday as well. The big news out of the Robertson County area, White House's Ella Husted finished third. She had a really nice route in the semifinal round, won a ladder match or two, I believe, and then fell short to the eventual state champion. Most interesting thing out of that is that her sister was a placer in a couple of years ago tournament too. Kylie Hudstead, who now bowls at Tennessee Wesleyan. She was the Division I runner-up in 2020, and I believe she placed fourth last season. So bowling running in the family, Brady.
Yeah, they're like the Mannings of bowling. Pretty cool. I wish I could say I was a good bowler, man. Whenever I go out to bowl with friends or family, like if I can crack like 80 or 90, like good with me.
I got to give some credit to my dad. A little shout out to my dad here, who was a semi-pro bowler in his younger days. You don't hear that very often, but he won a couple of tournaments when he was younger. So it did not go into yeah.
Mr. Keller and Casey Patrick, probably the best bowlers that we know. Looking on the Montgomery County side, on Tuesday, all CMCSS games in the city were postponed because of a water issue. The kids were out of school that day, and they eventually weren't able to really get things finished up for the evening for these basketball games. So a lot of those postponed. I still think for some of them they're looking at rescheduled dates, but my game of the week is actually pushed back to today, which would have been Tuesday, which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah, and I'll jump ahead a little bit to our scoreboard report in Robertson County, because that cancellation of all games did have an impact on Springfield and Northeast playing. When you look at other games around the county, Greenbrier and White House played on Tuesday. The girls and boys got the sweep there, 50-22 on the girls, 69-63 on the boys. Most interesting score from Tuesday that you're going to want to know about is East Robertson's district streak in 8-1A came to a close. On the road against Knowledge Academies, they fell 55-48. Some rebounding late really doomed East Robertson, which had won 12 straight games and was riding a 17-game district winning streak. So really huge win for Knowledge Academy there. On the girls' side, East Robertson won 60-6, one of those metro scores you don't really like to see sometimes. White House Heritage traveled to Fairview, and the girls picked up a 56-32 win. The boys lost 51-71. And then Joe Burns got a sweep over STEM Prep Academy, 67-14 on the girls' side and 78-39 on the boys.
Couple of blowouts the other day. How about it?
Sure.
Looking at our Fab 15 rankings, the CA boys hold on to their rankings and actually jump up 2 spots up to number 7 in the mid-state area. So cool for CA. The Rossview boys, not quite an honorable mention anymore, but definitely have a chance to get back in there and potentially get to the top 15. Whereas the CHS girls, despite losing to CCS, holding under their just missed status, and I think understandably so. CCS is a very good team.
On that boys' side, probably East Robertson will suffer a similar fate. They were in our just missed section for the last couple of weeks. This loss against Knowledge Academy might dip them out of there. But a couple of injury updates to give you on the Robertson County area. Greenbrier's Nolan Carson, the top rebounder and a really solid forward for them, missed the last 2 games nursing a hurt ankle that he suffered in a win against Liberty Creek. Really tough blow for them. That translated to a loss at Creekwood in District 9 3A play, and also resulted in a very fast-paced White House game on Tuesday, as well as, Kenyatta Perry kind of mentioned it during his interview with us earlier. Kyla Groves, the sister of Taylor and Sean Groves, suffered a torn ACL in December. White House Heritage's Macy McFarland, the leading scorer on the team, had the same injury in December. So 2 tough blows, really 3 tough blows for those teams, and you wish the best in their recovery.
Yeah, you hate to see that. Good players losing for the season. Just makes for less interesting basketball in general, but of course you hope they heal up very soon, get back ready for next season. Looking at D2A, Clarksville Academy again, the Clarksville boys beat Ezel Harding, pretty expected. But the girls, after losing to them by double digits earlier in the season, went over there and beat them by 5 points. So very impressive win for the CA girls to show that they're absolutely contenders in that district. Of course, some really good teams in there. They're going to have to go through teams like Nashville Christian. But I think they definitely got a chance, and they showed that after Ezel Harding that they're not going to lay down and lose to teams that have beaten them in the past. So cool to see it there, and very excited to see how they end up panning out.
Yeah, a good win for them and that district. I'd say that district is tough in of itself with Nashville Christian and Ezel Harding and Clarksville Academy, but you have to look at the other side of their bracket as well, where, if I'm not mistaken, they match up with Middle Tennessee Christian, they match up with Webb School, they match up with the top dogs out of that division, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It can get brutal there.
All right, game of the week in Robertson and Montgomery counties. Brady, what's up?
Yeah, so like I said, we had one on Tuesday that got pushed back to today. That's Clarksville High and Rossview, man. I mean, it's always a blast. This one's at Rossview. And to add a little extra icing on the cake, they're celebrating Rossview boys basketball coach Johnny Jackson's 400 career wins. Johnny just about as good of a guy as they come. He's fun and animated on the sideline, as our freelancer Knox Reeves tweeted last night. Gave a little props to his rival, and I'm excited for that, man. It's going to be, the girls' game especially is going to be really good. I
got to say, I'm not sure how often on this show we've had a repeat of the game of the week. I think you'd probably have to go back to even the podcasting days of COVID, or maybe something in the spring where you have some district games where we have the same game of the week twice. But on my end, Greenbrier and Portland play on Friday. I talked a little bit about District 9 3A. I've talked about White House and their upstart season, kind of turning things around with the flip of the calendar. Greenbrier, although they're kind of hurt, is still getting things done defensively. Jace Mangram's always a guy to watch out for. And Portland, even though they're 6-15, are the reigning district champs. So this is going to be a fun one. Last year it went down to the buzzer. Duncan Smallwood hit a go-ahead tip in an absolutely wild game. So if you have the ability to go out to Portland, go out to Portland.
Absolutely. Man, I mean, you just love games like that, those repeats of the championships. Anything can really happen, I kind of had a similar fate this couple weeks ago with Kenwood and Henry County playing. Kenwood's record was just not that good, but it was a repeat of the championship. Kenwood gets momentum, wins that game. I mean, it was just a blast, and can kind of imagine that Greenbrier and Portland will be the same way.
You'd have to think that it just does a lot for confidence and kind of locker room talk, if you will. I know that's kind of a cliche, but if you say, hey, this is just a normal game, then you're not going to get your players amped up. If you say this is a repeat of last year's championship game where we won something, I think there's a little bad blood there, and it matters, right?
Yeah, definitely. Looking at player of the week, we talked to Trenton Hassel earlier. His daughter, Lauren Hassel, a 6'3", 8th grader. I never had to look up at an 8th grade girl, but here we are. She had 30-point double-doubles twice in the past week, in the win against CHS, as we know, is a really good team, and against Kentucky Bowling Green, who was an AP-ranked team in Kentucky. So, I've heard people saying she got to 1,000 career points, which, by the way, she got to 1,000 career points in 8th grade. I've seen people say, oh, it's because of the competition they're playing. Well, can't really say that this year.
Yeah, really proved that wrong, especially with Clarksville and Bowling Green. Bowling Green's just got a really solid program in Kentucky. I think in the area of Kentucky in general, just high school basketball is really good. My player of the week, Allie Beth Moses, somebody I haven't mentioned all season, out of Greenbrier girls basketball, 18 points, 6 triples against White House on Tuesday. She almost outscored the Blue Devils by herself. And right before we close out here, I need to swallow my words from the beginning of the season. I had Greenbrier girls at the very bottom of our totem pole, kind of girls basketball rankings in Robertson County. I didn't do my research, I'd say. So, they brought just about every player back that mattered from last year. They're going to do the same thing next year. So while this year they are probably likely the runner-up in their district, next year there's probably going to be a lot of noise made from this Lady Cats team. And I need to swallow my words from this year for that.
Well, there you go. At least you're willing to admit it. You love to see it. Any other final words here before we sign off?
outside of that, this podcast is brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. I don't think so.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As always, we will see you again next week. Have a good one.